I'm Hashem, thanks for joining today. So my introduction to Zhiyun products was late last year through their C100 tube style light, which really took me by surprise. And as powerful and functional as it is, my favorite thing was actually the design itself. I'm a sucker for good industrial design, especially when practicality and functionality are maintained. So I was happy when Zhiyun reached out to me to try their Molus G300 COB light. This is another well-designed lighting product which takes on a modular form factor. Despite its high power level, the G300 is fairly compact and can suit working in tight spaces. I did receive this light in exchange for making this video, so as usual, I recommend doing additional research with any major purchase. No other payment was exchanged, and they didn't see this video before you. So I've spoken frequently about the challenge of working in small spaces when it comes to filming my YouTube videos or product shots. Not to mention the noise generated when you crank a weaker light up to its higher power levels. The G300 allows me to take better advantage of space with its modular power unit. And given the output, it can run at really low brightness to keep the fan noise to a minimum. For example, now I have it at around 20% and the fan isn't running at all. I'm using it as my main key light with this shot that you're seeing now. So for me, something like this is a great upgrade to the popular Godox SL60W that I'd been using for a few years. I maintain that something like that is a great starting point and can serve you well for most purposes and for many users, but eventually you might outgrow its capability or want additional lights in your setup. The G300 is a Bowens mount COB light. It's the big brother to the smaller G200 in their current lineup. It weighs about 1.5 kilos, yet outputs a fairly high 300 watts. It also has a max mode that lets you overclock to 500 watts at 4300 Kelvin. It has Bluetooth app control, active cooling, and a high color rendering and TLCI rating for color accuracy. It retails for $599 US or 879 Australian dollars according to the Amazon prices at the time of me recording this video. So the price is in line with other 300 watt COB lights, but it can often be found on sale. This is also lighter than most others and offers that additional 500 watt max mode. So let's have a look at what comes in the package in the G300. The unit does ship in this cardboard box with foam inserts and everything neatly packed inside. It would have been nice if Zhiyun included a carry case like they do with some of their other lights, such as the C100 from my previous video and their X series and some others. So this is a small oversight, but something that maybe could be changed in the future. As you can see, you have the main light unit and the power unit, which are separate. That way you can have that space saving and weight saving component on the top of your light stand and then have the modular power unit somewhere else, such as hanging on your C-stand, on a tabletop. So it just gives you that flexibility to set it up however you want. It includes a really long power cord, so you can get complicated with your lighting setups if you want, have something overhead on a really high stand, or get creative. It just gives you that ability to have that power unit separate so that the smaller and lighter light unit can be mounted in a larger amount of spaces than you otherwise could with heavier COB lights. Otherwise, all the other inclusions are pretty standard. You get a nice reflector attachment, the cap for the light, some spare screws, and instruction or online guide type of information. So when it comes to that modular design, it might add that little bit of extra setup time because you have the separate cable and the additional part to set up, but it just opens up more flexibility. So for someone like me working in smaller spaces, historically, this can be really useful. It frees up a bit of room if you want to get your lights closer to the wall, you don't have as much free room to play with, or you need that flexibility to get higher setups and closer to the ceiling, for example. So if you are doing overhead setups, let's say with a C-stand, your light pointing down, you have less weight at that stress point, lets you get the light up higher and use a variety of different modifiers without adding too much weight. The quality of everything that I'm seeing is great. The yoke is strong. It has this nice aviator style locking attachment plug, and the mounting point that attaches to the light stand secures nicely. Now the Bowens attachment point at the front of the light is a plastic, so metal might have been nicer, especially if you're working with really heavy modifiers or something that is liable to overheat. But from what I can see, the plastic used is quite strong and it keeps that weight down, which is one of the main appeals of the G300. Now, all in all, just talking from personal experience, off the cuff using this light, it is a welcome upgrade. For someone like me who had been using a 60 watt light, obviously jumping up to this 300 watt light is a big upgrade and allows me to keep fan noise down, keep the power level down, and use the light at much lower percentages. And setting up in a room like this is a perfect example of how you might want to use this ecosystem, because not only do you get the advantages of the stronger and lighter setup, but the good thing about the Zhiyun ecosystem, as you would have seen in my previous C100 video, is there's the Bluetooth control. So this Molus series, the G300, has the Bluetooth app control, meaning that I can group up various Zhiyun lights, have the smaller ones, for example, like the X100, making everything so much easier to just remotely adjust and set up your shots. And in my experience, the app works really seamlessly. You've got control over all your brightnesses, color temperatures, things like that, turning lights on and off. So for example, I have the tube there, which if I wanted to add a bit of feature during certain parts of a shot. And with the setup I have now, I'm using the Zhiyun lantern, which is good. It just throws light around this room, meaning I can just do with having one key light without having to add any fill, because that bounce will create fill. I can use the skirtings to control where the lantern is throwing light. And then on the same group on the ZY Vega app, I've got the little Molus X100 light set up on a tripod pointing at the background. So that's just adding a little bit of a motivation light in the background there, just kind of simulating where this key light would be coming from as if it's coming from a window. Just adds that little bit of a natural touch. But the beauty is I can just slide around, adjust the brightness of that as I wish, turn it off, and so on. But of course, it might be overkill for just using in bedroom setups like this. It does open up more versatility in this kind of situation, but something like this is good enough to be used on more professional or high-end shoots, whether it's you're doing video or photography. I used it in some other stuff. I was doing a shoot with my friend Nick, filming on his Blackmagic 6K and doing a bit of social media reels for his coffee brand. And the good thing about having that Bowens mount, which is really common, means that if you want to use other modifiers that you have outside of the ecosystem that comes with it, you can do that. You can attach, Fresnel lenses, snoots, projectors, other softboxes, like really large ones, for example. So it just gives you that versatility. And even when using quite a large softbox on the front of the G300 at Nick's place, it attached quite steadily, easily, without any problems. So in conclusion, this is a welcome upgrade in the world of lighting, and I'm really liking seeing these modular setups that are moving away from the traditional bulky, loud, and larger LED video lights that we've been using over these last years. And this is kind of leading the way in that direction, I think, that we're going to be moving with most lighting systems over the next few years. The fact that they've got this high-tech cooling system with the heat sinks and the fans just means that your fan is much less likely to turn on, and when it does, you're not going to pick it up as easily in your audio recordings. The lightweight and modular setup lets you get more creative with your lighting situations, whether it's for something like YouTube, photography, studio, or whatever it might be. All the components and quality is quite nice. The Bluetooth app control is convenient. You've got a lot of different modifiers and accessories available, whether it's a parabolic softbox, the lantern that I'm using at the moment, a regular softbox, and other attachments. And overall, the price is quite competitive with other options out there on the market. But one of my favorite things, once again, is just the design of these lights. I just love the look and the styling that they've gone for with both the Molus series, the Cine Pier, and some of their other lights on the Zhiyun website that you can check out. I'll put a link there. Overall, there's a lot of pluses about this G300. So a couple of things just to reiterate that I think could have been better is if they included a carry case, which I've been told might be added in later stock in the future. And also the green magenta control isn't available on this model. That would have been nice because that's something I enjoyed having on the C100 tube light, just allowing you to really fine tune your color temperature. Again, not something everyone might take advantage of, but I'm really just trying to find, cons here. And the other thing mentioned was maybe if the mount was metal instead of plastic. But again, it's that compromise between weight and price point. So yeah, overall, I think it's a great addition onto the market. Feel free to check out the links that I'll put in the description of this video. I'll put a link to the Zhiyun website and their store. Let me know if you have any other specific questions about this light. I'm really enjoying using this whole ecosystem and kind of upgrading my whole lighting setups and getting more experimental, just, playing around with stuff at the moment, as you can see, that I never really used to do before. And having all these little features like the attachments and app control encourages me to get more creative. So I'll continue to use it in videos going forward. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.